What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. I just watched the brand new straight-to-on-demand movie, Revenge. I guess not technically straight-to-on-demand. It's played in a few theaters, but Revenge is directed by Coralie Farr. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm not even going to attempt, but it's a brand new filmmaker. She's directed a few short films, but this is her first feature-length film, and the premise of this movie is never take your mistress on an annual guy's getaway, especially one devoted to hunting. A violent lesson for three wealthy married men, and my goodness, guys, this movie is absolutely insane. Way more than I thought it would be, at least. If you guys don't know how my reviews work, I like to talk about the good, the bad, and then give you my score. Let's get into it. And first off, guys, I've noticed that my videos really haven't been showing up for a few of my subscribers lately, so if you hit that notification bell on my profile, then that should alert you every single time that I post. Not that you have to watch every video that I post, but just so you guys know, because for some reason, YouTube likes to mess with the algorithm, and I don't understand it. Speaking of messing with an algorithm, this movie just takes exactly what you think it's going to be from the first 20 minutes and completely turns it on its head. This film was absolutely crazy, like I said in the intro, but it goes far beyond that, because I do honestly believe that there are some things in here that are so well done that it just, I don't think of a first-time film director doing things like this. I think of someone who is seasoned, a veteran, someone who has done this before. There are some beautiful shots, some great cinematography, and overall just a great job directing. And our lead, Matilda Lutz, she goes from one character to completely different like that. It's a progressive movement all throughout the story, but when she hits that bait and switch and she turns into what she is by the end of the film, without spoilers, my goodness, what a cool premise. And to put a female character at the forefront and turn her into one of the biggest BA characters I have seen all year is very impressive. Now, there's literally 4 people in this movie, so it couldn't have been a difficult thing to conquer in terms of getting your actors to give the performances that they needed to give, but overall, I can say I didn't have a problem with any of the performances. Everyone was good and or great, slightly crazy in terms of what their thought processes were, but throughout the movie you start to feel for these characters. Well, not necessarily feel for the villains, but you understand where they're coming from and why they're having these types of emotions, and I really appreciate that out of a first-time director. And if you guys are squeamish or you don't like blood or guts or gore, I just recommend you don't watch this film. Now, I'm not a big fan of needles. I don't like blood. I can handle like a war movie, but for some reason a show like ER really gets to me because I don't like stuff like that. And there are many scenes in here when there is skin peeling and you're just going inside somebody's body and it's just disgusting. But I applaud the filmmaker because it did work. It was very effective. And some of the shots where it's showing the bugs doing something or these close-ups of someone's body, it was horrifying in a way, but it really worked for the story. But I will tell you guys, probably 20% of this movie, I didn't watch it. It was gross, it was bloody, it was gory, it took turns that I didn't expect. It felt like a Quentin Tarantino film at times without the aggressive humor, but you know what? I appreciated it, and it was so outlandish that honestly, I had a great time watching it. And there's some very literal moments like a phoenix rising from the ashes. There are things that happen, you're like, okay, I have to understand what this movie is doing, because you can't quite take all of it seriously, especially what happens at the beginning. It's like, okay, how is someone going to survive something like that? But you know what? I look at it as like not a superhero origin, but like an origin story for a hero. I would also compare it to a movie like The Bad Batch that came out, I believe, either last year or 2016. I was not a fan of that film. I didn't like it in the least bit, but I do appreciate the artsiness of it. Now, this movie had the artsy aspect along with an entertaining and moving movie. Now, in terms of the bad, there are definitely problems here. You expect that from a first-time filmmaker. The pacing, it picks up at times, then it slows down. It can't really ever find its footing. Sometimes I felt the length of the film. It is like an hour 45, and you do feel that at times. I think some of the metaphors, like I said, are a tad bit too literal. Some things are on the nose, and the story takes some twists and turns where I'm like, okay, maybe it's a little bit too much. You might need to scale it back just a tad bit, because you're kind of losing me with the amount of blood and the amount of gore. And while I really liked the end sequence, some of it went on just a tad bit too long. I could have used a shorter climax. But overall, I will say Revenge is not a movie for everybody. If you do not like blood and gore and guts, do not watch this film. But if you enjoy things like this, or if you just want a really good, like, revenge thriller, I think you will get something out of it. I'm going to give Revenge a 75%. I do believe it's worth a watch. Go check it out on Amazon Prime if you have that. It's playing in a handful of theaters, but not very many. You guys are the absolute best. Like I said, this week, starting either tomorrow, probably Tuesday, though, is my very first video in my X-Men series that I am starting. Like I said, hit that notification bell to be notified anytime I post a vid. You are the absolute best, and I'll catch you later.